So I was trying to decide how I was going to re- record what you asked me to record. I thought I would do it like this. It just gives my hands something to do, so that I can help my brain focus. Plus, I can kind of show off stuff that I do with Ryder. Um, the Christmas Village on our Minecraft server. The first dream started out. I was It was nighttime, and I was looking over a city. I'm standing on a hill, kind of overlooking a city. I wasn't far out from the city. It's not like I was removed from it. I was very close. I'm standing on a hill looking down basically into one block of a city. Um, the city had been laid waste to. It had clearly been through war. Um, Rubble everywhere, buildings essentially razed to the ground. Most of them were on fire. Um, I was aware that I needed to get to a place. Um, I was headed to a church. I was aware of that, um, because that's where I would be taken up. But again, I've been through a war. I mean, there's not a lot of people around in the streets. There are not soldiers or anything like that. But the city was laid waste. Um, and as happens with dreams, you sort of flash forward one scene to the next. Next thing I know, I'm walking through rubble and I'm making my way over um, bits of wall, bits of concrete, bits of this and that. And I'm coming up the backside um, from a cardinal direction. I can't tell you, but I'm coming up from the backside. If you're looking at the front doors of this church, it wasn't a very large chapel, but if you're looking at the front door, I was essentially on the back right side. So I'm coming up the back right side, and the whole side, that whole right side wall is missing. It's gone. Um, so I step into the church, and as I step into the church, I'm finally starting to see the first signs of life that I've seen since I started walking down the hill, since the stream started. There's people coming in. I see people from all different walks of life. People whose faces I can see right now as I'm telling this story. I remember an Asian woman. I remember a man with very curly hair. They're kind of helping. He's helping her. She's clearly injured. They're making their way in to this church as well, and we're all sort of meeting there, um, out of the knowledge that we're supposed to go to that church, and because that's where we're going to be taken up. Um, I don't recall there being more than maybe 7 or 8 of us there, and someone looked at me and said, "Now what?" "Now what?" they said, and I said, "This, we're here. We're going home." And that's it. That's what I remember of the dream. We're going home. I don't remember being scared. Um, I don't recall whether I felt cold or hot. It was very comfortable in the dream. Um, I felt a need to get to the church, but not a sense of urgency. Like I knew I was going to get there on time. So I was not in a hurry to get there. I just needed to get there. Um, I felt no fear. I felt very relaxed. And I felt somehow like I was leading those people, even though they weren't with me at the beginning. I have no idea why I had that sense that I was leading them in some way. Um, but when I did get to the church, they looked to me to know what to do next. And, my answer was, "We're here. We're going home. This is the place where we're meeting up, and we're going home." The next one, and this is chronologically correct, this would be the next one. I was at a house, and I don't recall that in that house, us being at the house. I remember that my dad and my brother-in-law were there, um, but I don't recall that being in that house that we had been through any kind of a war. I don't recall knowing that. I do recall understanding that life as we once knew it wasn't anymore. That things were radically different on the earth. Um, so we're inside this house. There's not a lot going on. There's a lot of noise in the background. I don't see a lot of people, but I hear a lot of commotion. It's just noise in the background. It's very noisy. Um, and I remember this one. This one I don't remember as clearly, but I remember coming face to face with the enemy, and I remember going toe to toe with him, scripture, book and verse, toe to toe, and I was sticking true to the word, man. I was fighting the good fight. Um, and I remember he started laughing at me, and I remember being outside, and I remember talking to my dad, and he was telling me to keep fighting. Um, and I remembered thinking that it was for the good of everybody there that I was fighting. I remember in that backyard, because we were standing in the backyard of the house. The yard was somewhat fenced in. It was early fall time, kind of like this time of year. It was very wet. Um, I remember there was a bit of a creek running through the yard, but it was not full of water. It was full of this soupy, really wet mud. And I remember there was an animal in it. I want to say it was a shark. I'm not 100% certain what it was. It doesn't make sense that it was a shark, but this is a dream, right? So, no holds barred, I guess. But there was an animal, and when it was struggling to breathe, and I didn't want it to die. And I remember trying to coax it into cleaner water so that it could have cleaner water to breathe in. I was fighting for life in the dream. I remember as I was doing that, my dad told me, you're going to have to go back in there and fight again. And I said, I know. And that was the end of that dream. My most recent dream, standing, I don't recall knowing how I got to where I was. Again, it's important that you understand, in the second dream, I was not scared. I felt very comfortable. I felt as though I was covered. I felt as though I was doing his work and that I was protected. I was never scared. I was not one time in any of these three dreams was I ever afraid. I felt very sure-footed, and I felt very strong in my knowledge of his word. In the third dream, I'm at a small municipal airport. So the scenery outside the windows is sun shining. It is noonday type sun. There aren't many people around. It's kind of, and this is a common theme for all three. Again, these to me are all end times dreams, so it makes sense. It's almost like it's post rapture. There are not a lot of people around, and I'm aware that there are not a lot of people around. And in this third dream, I didn't have family with me. That first dream, I had my brother-in-law and my dad there. Nobody else. The first dream, it was only me and strangers. In the third, it was me and really just a couple of people there, but I didn't see their faces. The ones that were inside the airport with me, they were sitting in chairs and looking out the windows. And I watched an airplane take off, and it circles, and I thought it's coming back, it's going to crash, and sure enough, that's what it did. It was a white with a red stripe wing over, so the wing is on top of the passenger compartment, right? Propeller driven, twin propeller driven, um, puddle jumper type of airplane. Takes off, it circles to the right, out over some woods that are far off the edge of the airfield, comes back around and slams into a building behind where I am in the airport, some other building. Um, and then it sort of flashes forward, and I'm in a room that I'm aware is part of the airport, but it very much reminds me of the daycare center that Ryder was in. It doesn't look identical to it. It just is daycare center esque, similar to what Ryder went to when he was younger. And I saw some toys in there that I recognized, and this woman is standing there. I can see her face plain as day. She's got a short, sort of bobbed haircut, brunette. Um, I want to say she had green eyes. I believe she had green eyes. Um, I don't remember what the toy was. But I called it out by name, and I said it was a lot of fun. And she goes, haha, a lot of fun. And she turns around and she walks away, and I can hear her cackling loudly over and over and over, just laughing hysterically at the notion of fun. And that was the end of that dream. I woke up. I woke up and I was headachy and I was running late for work. Um, and why these dreams stick in my head, I've absolutely no idea. But those are the dreams that I had, all three of them, in the order that I had them. They've been spread out over, um, goodness sakes, at least the last 5 years. I believe I had that first dream when Ryder was about 2 years old. He's 7 now, so yeah, I think that's right. I think over the last 5 years, but that's my dream. Those are the three dreams. So, um, far different than a video or an audio that you thought you were gonna get. You're not really seeing much of what I have going on. By the way, what you're seeing on the video here, I'm in Santa's workshop in Christmas Village. So, here, that is Ryder's gingerbread man. Um, there's Santa's workshop. Pardon the flipping around here. There you go, Santa's workshop. Down in there's a sleigh. Got places for the elves to work. Woo. Let's see. Here's the sleigh. Down here is the reindeer pens. There's Dasher, Rudolph, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet. Horribly spelled Cupid. I don't know how I did that, but whatever. Donner and Blitzen. A little bit of light and joy after such a heavy audio. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to trim it up